What up, y'all? This is Dobby, and this is the making of Warrangu River story. This is kind of exciting. I haven't really told this story before. The name Dobby came about when I was doing Taekwondo as a young kid, and my Taekwondo instructor, who's still to this day one of my heroes, Kim Dalton, she called me Dobby all the time. I don't know, it was just one of those nicknames that came about, and you know, nicknames that stick. My dad called me Dobby, my principal called me Dobby, all my friends, da-da-da. It became my identity when I was fighting, when I was becoming a black belt at Taekwondo. Kim was diagnosed with cancer of the adrenal cortex in 2004, right before she was selected to compete in the Athens Olympics. And she was one of the strongest fighters that I knew. Unfortunately, she passed in 2005, but in the process of raising funds for her operation, we joined the Live Strong Foundation. So I still wear that to this day. You can see this here, but I wear that for Kim. And then through my name, Dobby, I can keep her fight alive, you know. The first album I ever bought was Outkast's Speaker Box, The Love Below. And I found out about that album from the So Fresh Autumn Hits 2003 CD. But I really loved hip-hop from that point onwards. Lupe Fiasco's The Cool, with songs like Hip Hop Saved My Life, Snoop Dogg, The Blue Carpet Treatment, Busta Rhymes, The Big Bang Theory, Missy Elliott, Respect Me, that compilation album, Eminem's Encore, like I was so into it. MF Doom, growing up. Come to think of it, it was always these sorts of artists that were not just rappers, they were also jazz artists. Talib Kweli and Mos Def, those old school like backpacker rappers. And then into Kendrick Lamar currently, you know, like I'm a massive fan of his. But then looking outside of hip hop music, you know, I used to hate Bob Dylan, but listening to Dad play it, I started to realize that I actually loved his lyricism and his storytelling, you know. Beyonce, I'm a big fan of how she puts on a show. One of the most influential things I've ever seen performance-wise is Beyonce's Homecoming show at Coachella. It's still like the best thing I've seen, not in person, but. I started learning piano at age 7. My mom strongly recommended that I learn it. Easy Beethoven stuff and then into like more technical playing, and I went through the classical training. I don't think I was fully in love with that though. I remember the first time I really sat and listened to the drums. It was at some Year 7 assembly, and we were all sitting cross-legged on the floor watching this band play. I grew up in a Catholic school, right? So they were playing some mass. But I remember the drummer, her name was Demi, she was playing on the drums really loud. And it was like, I am the vine. The way it was situated, I was right in front of the drum kit, sitting cross-legged. So it was just like banging into my ear like, oh my God, what is this instrument? I was just like, literally hit by the impact of the sound. And then from that point onward, like it made that much of an impact on me that I wanted to learn how to play it myself. And I was that kid with the pens on the table or playing the pots and pans, you know, until Dad said, I'll get you a drum kit if you just stop playing on the pots and pans. Has my identity influenced my music? Definitely, you know, because growing up, I didn't really primarily have the music that reflected me firsthand. That wasn't on the Sanity CD store shelves, you know. It wasn't in JB Hi-Fi. You had to kind of search for that stuff, you know. Jimbla, YRMC, and The Last Connection. And then looking outward, like all of our grassroots and our community artists, you know, El Fresh the Lion, you know, like MC Trey, they would kind of be in the mainstream, and then the prevailing mainstream would kind of take over very quickly, you know. And now I'm in a really beautiful position, and I'm so grateful where I get to sort of do what I wanted to see, you know. Do I like performing to crowds or to an empty Sydney Opera House?
WNZ, y'all are at the Opera House, hey!
I definitely prefer the crowd. I have a song called, you know, I Can Feel Your Energy, but if I can't feel your energy, how am I supposed to play that song, I Can Feel Your Energy? It just, it's a lie.
I can feel your energy, energy, energy. Yo, I can feel your energy, energy, energy.
Filming Matter of Time in Brewarrina felt cathartic and, powerful, because I knew that if we're making a story about Brewarrina, some aspect of it has to be in Brewarrina, right? So we made it all kind of connects to that track Matter of Time, where it's between Brewarrina and back in the studio in Glendenning, in West Sydney. So being not just by the fish traps, but in the fish traps was a powerful thing. And I think that's a testament to what Auntie Lily Shearer always says, we're still here, BC and AC, BC before cook and AC after cook. So we're still using those fish traps. We're still utilizing fishing, in the river. It doesn't matter if you put that weir up, it doesn't matter if you want to protect it by whatever. Aboriginal people still exist and they still use those traditional fishing methods. So I feel like me being in the river was a powerful testament and homage to that. The concept and the title of this album, Warrangu River Story, I think it's all in the name. It is my artistic interpretation of everything I've learned walking with Brad Stedman along that Wangaru River. I said, I want this album to be about the river, but I don't know what angle. I don't know how to talk about it. How can I talk about so many things at once, The cultural significance of it, impact of irrigation, of cotton farms and floodplain harvesting. How do I put that all into an album? But I just listened, and I think that's what we should be doing more of in this world, is just listening to people.
When you see the life in it, then you know the life in you.
I sat with my community and I wrote down their words and I recorded their voices and I put that into music. I worked with artists like Brad Hardy and Kelsey Barker, Kelsey Iris, and I said, here's the album. I didn't want to touch it too much, to be honest, because I wanted their stories to be the primary source of information that people get. So it's about listening. Warrangu, interpretation, river story, Here's the language, here's that translation and interpretation. Here's his story, here's how I've interpreted it. Here's my album, how do you interpret it? This album, Warrangu River Story, I am speaking to all of so-called Australia, particularly the people that drink water, that depend on water, that walk on these lands, that benefit from the rich, vibrant soil and minerals and landscape of this country. We all have a responsibility. The Murray-Darling Basin provides sustenance for 3 million people, as well as the animals, It's the lifeblood of our people. So Warrangu meaning river, water source, creek, anything, water. It relates to you, it relates to me. You don't have to be Aboriginal to appreciate this album. You don't have to be a hip-hop head or a classical head to appreciate this album. Just listen to the story and you'll find yourself.
The story gets told as the wind turns cold, I begin to shudder.
I thank every single person that's taken the time to listen to it front to back, track by track. It fills my heart and fills my cup that people are learning about the story of King Clyde, the Murawari clever fella, or learning about what the phrase languages in the land actually means, or learning about Brad Stedman's name, The album is doing what I wanted it to do, which is to continue that conversation. So to every person that's listened to it, thank you so much, and keep sharing and, keep talking about what this Murray-Darling Basin means to all of us. What's next? So my next big project is I'm working on a time travel story. And I'll just leave it at that.
Hold up, I know that you with me now. I know you can hear me now. Show us the way, show us the way, show us the way.